In the shadowy realm of unsolved crimes, the truth often lies buried beneath layers of mystery and deceit. But sometimes, the most unlikely of clues can unravel the darkest of secrets, bringing closure to cases that once seemed hopelessly cold. Join us on Darkminds as we delve into 3 chilling tales of murder, where the perpetrators left behind haunting breadcrumbs, unwittingly leading investigators to their doorsteps. The bloody footprint and the killer's hair. In the bustling streets of Marylebone, a crime of unimaginable brutality unfolded, leaving a trail of secrets in its wake. Marina Koppel, a 39-year-old woman, was found lifeless, her body bearing the horrific markings of over 140 merciless stab wounds. The crime scene, a tapestry of violence and unanswered questions, left investigators grasping at straws, as Marina's killer seemed to vanish into the night, taunting those who sought justice with a deafening silence that spanned nearly 3 decades. Amidst the chaos, a whisper from the past emerged, a bloody footprint, an indelible mark left behind by the perpetrator. This clue, preserved meticulously, became the first breadcrumb on a trail spanning decades. Initially, this footprint was a frustratingly vague piece of evidence. However, it suggested the killer had worn a specific type of shoe, narrowing down the pool of suspects ever so slightly. The investigators meticulously preserved the footprint, hoping that future advancements in forensic technology might offer more insights. Years passed and the case grew colder, but the footprint remained a haunting reminder of the unsolved murder. As forensic technology evolved, the footprint was re-examined using more sophisticated methods. This re-examination revealed that the shoe was a rare model, further narrowing the potential suspects. It wasn't just the type of shoe, but the unique wear pattern that became critical. This wear pattern suggested that the killer had a distinct way of walking, possibly due to an injury or physical anomaly. Another crucial clue emerged, a single strand of hair found clinging to Marina's ring. Initially overlooked, this hair harbored secrets that modern forensic science would eventually unravel. Investigators had bagged this piece of evidence, but it wasn't until DNA testing became more advanced and accessible that they could analyze it comprehensively. The hair's DNA profile did not match any in the existing databases at the time, adding to the frustration. Years later, advancements in DNA technology allowed investigators to extract and analyze the hair's genetic material more precisely, revealing a startling match to Sandip Patel. Patel, who had lived a seemingly ordinary life, was suddenly thrust into the spotlight. The bloody footprint which placed him at the scene and the hair's DNA linked Patel irrevocably to the crime. Confronted with this irrefutable evidence, Patel's attempts to elude justice crumbled. His carefully constructed facade of normalcy fell apart, and he was finally brought to justice, providing closure to a case that had haunted Marina's family and the community for years. The anonymous letter and the saliva-sealed envelope. In the sleepy town of Perry Township, Pennsylvania, the 1988 murder of Anna Jean Kane cast a long, chilling shadow. For years, the case remained stagnant, a frustrating puzzle with no new leads or breakthroughs to guide investigators through the labyrinth of unanswered questions. Then, a chilling whisper from the past arrived in the form of an anonymous letter addressed to a local newspaper in 1990. The author, a self-proclaimed concerned citizen, divulged intimate details of the crime, details that only the killer could have known. This revelation sent a shiver down the spines of investigators, hinting at the presence of a twisted figure who seemed to revel in taunting them with the very secrets they sought. The letter described the crime scene with such precision that it was clear the author had been present during the murder. The tone of the letter was both mocking and regretful, creating a complex psychological profile of the writer. However, the letter held another sinister surprise. The saliva-sealed envelope, a seemingly innocuous detail, harbored a genetic truth, DNA that matched evidence from the crime scene. At the time, DNA testing was not as advanced, and the potential of using such evidence was still in its infancy. The saliva's DNA not only linked the letter to the crime, but also pointed directly to Scott Grimm, a man with a dark history. Grimm had been on the periphery of the investigation, but had never been a serious suspect until the DNA evidence came to light. The DNA analysis took years to process due to technological limitations and the backlog of cases. When it finally came through, the match was undeniable. Investigators revisited Grimm's past, uncovering a history of violence and instability that had previously gone unnoticed. Though Grimm passed away before facing the full weight of justice, the letter he penned and the DNA-laden envelope became the keys that unlocked this decades-old mystery. The anonymous letter and its telltale envelope provided the breakthrough investigators desperately needed. This revelation brought a mix of relief and sorrow to Anna's loved ones, who had endured years of anguish without knowing the truth. The disappearance of Margaret Davis, a decades-old mystery. In the quiet town of Rockford, Illinois, the disappearance of Margaret Davis puzzled investigators and haunted her family for decades. In July 1987, Margaret, a 24-year-old waitress, vanished without a trace after finishing her late-night shift at a local diner. Despite an exhaustive search, no clues emerged, leaving her family in perpetual anguish. Margaret's life was a blend of hope and hardship. Recently divorced and struggling to support her young daughter, she had taken on extra shifts at the diner. Friends described her as resilient but overwhelmed. On the night of her disappearance, Margaret expressed frustration over her financial struggles and a sense of foreboding she couldn't shake. Investigators initially focused on her ex-husband, but he was quickly ruled out. The case grew cold as leads dwindled. However, a construction worker unearthed a woman's purse while digging a foundation in a neighbouring town nearly 2 decades later. Inside were Margaret's identification and personal belongings, reigniting the investigation. Modern forensic techniques allowed for a re-examination of the evidence. A hair found on Margaret's brush was subjected to DNA analysis, revealing a match to Thomas Green, a man with a criminal history. Confronted with the evidence, Green confessed to abducting and murdering Margaret, leading investigators to her remains. This breakthrough provided Margaret's family with the closure they had long awaited, demonstrating the power of persistence and advancements in forensic science. In these cases, the smallest of clues, a bloody footprint, a strand of hair, an anonymous letter, and a saliva-sealed envelope became the breadcrumbs that led investigators to the truth. Like whispers from the shadows, these unlikely breadcrumbs guided authorities through the labyrinth of lies and deception, ultimately shining a light on the dark secrets that had remained buried for far too long. Join us next time as we continue to uncover the truth and seek closure for those who have been denied it for too long.